everybody and welcome to my YouTube channel, Juliet Nail Crafts. So today's Take 5 day. I always love it, so much fun to play in our journals and follow the prompts, and Amira has done them for us this month. So we've got a complementary colour scheme, I'll go into details about that in a bit, plus black and white, a background technique, a focal image representing the new year for you, and add a second layer using the same colour scheme but in a different medium, and one word for 2021. So I'm just going to start by layering some colour onto my page, and we'll have a little chat about a complementary colour scheme. So a complementary colour scheme, actually I should have maybe put some washi down the centre, but we'll be alright. Basically is something that is on the opposite side of the colour wheel. So you will normally find that if you use a complementary colour scheme, if you were to mix all the colours together, they would completely blend themselves out. So you're talking your cyan, your magenta and your yellow. Put them all together and we end up with something on the grayscale. So a complementary colour would include all of those three colours. So orange is made up of yellow and red, and you'll find I don't actually have any colour wheels on me, but directly opposite, actually I'm going to blend this in first because I will get mud if I'm not careful, opposite that would end up being blue. So if you think about it, that we've got our two primary colours here, and then the blue is the third that hasn't been used in the mix. Now complementary colour schemes will work really well because they are directly opposite to each other, and so they actually make like the blue makes the orange look more orange and the orange makes the blue look more blue, so it really pops. So this is me just using a basic scribble technique for creating a background. So I'm going to use, what I'm going to do I think is use some watercolours. This is watercolour crayons. I'm trying to think about the two layers. I kind of want to use my stencils, and I'm thinking that maybe that all goes in one layer and then I could do stamping. Oh, I don't know. We'll just play. But basically we need to use blue and orange in two separate layers. Right, I'm just going to, I'm going to stick some washi down in a little bit. So this is me popping some blue down now, and as I said, at this stage I'm not even thinking of what my finished page looks like. So this is kind of how I create. You start off with a starting point. So obviously my prompts are the starting point, so I know that I have to use a complementary colour scheme, so there we go. I've chosen Wilma Watts as my focal point, my image to represent 2021, and that would be because for me steampunk represents the belief that the impossible is possible, and I think right now we all feel very fed up. 2021 didn't prove to be, sorry, 2020 just didn't prove to be the year that many of us expected. It's been hard going. I think when you start to read the news, not that I'm wanting to dwell on the negative, but when you start to read it and you think the case numbers are higher than they ever were in the peak before, that it can feel hard to believe that life will ever return to any form of normality. It's funny, I think Amira chose the prompts for us last year, and she had December last year as well, and she had to choose a word for 2020, and actually the word I'd chosen was courage. And sometimes I look back on that page and think, oh, how apt was that? So my word, this one is going to be believe, and yeah, for me steampunk was, they believed in the impossible, you know, they believed they could fly, they believed they could make trains go really fast, they believed they could produce all these amazing things, and they didn't let people that thought that their ideas were pie in the sky stop them. So for me, steampunk really does represent that kind of anything's possible, the impossible is possible, and I just think after the year that we've had, we need to believe that life will get back to normal. We will get there, and yeah, so that is why I have gone for my image of Wilma Watts. But I will focus on the crafting side of it, because I think we get enough doom and gloom on the news. We don't need to tune into YouTube for that. Watching people craft is escapism. Right, so I'm also working in my Jane at Davenport journal because I am so close to finishing this journal. It is unbelievable. And I have never, ever, ever been this close to finishing a journal. I have been journaling probably since... I'm terrible now, I always forget to date my pages, which is really bad. I really should actually... I might actually buy a little date stamp or something, you know, like Marta Lepowska has, and so that I date my work. I used to, and I forgot. But yeah, I do have some dates going back to 2010. So I've been doing this for at least 10 years, and I have never yet completed one journal. So I am tantalisingly close at the moment. Right, I think I'm actually going to grab some stencils, and I'm going to pop some ink through some stencils, but I'm still going to count that as the one layer because it's still a water-based product. My light bulb stencil, because it's not... sorry, I've got a book underneath here. It's because I'm at the end of my journal and working on it unevenly. It's not all that easy. So I have just popped a book behind there to sort of support it, so I'm working on a more even keel, which just makes life a tad easier. So actually I pulled out yellow, but that should have been the orange, so that's fine. We will just go back over. So let me line that up. Yeah, it should have been the orange. It should be orange and blue. Okay, that stands out a bit better as well, so that's all good. Right, I'm just trying to line this up as best I can. It doesn't matter if it's not perfect because it'll just give some sort of cool shadowy effect. So yeah, so I've got my light bulbs on there, and I don't know, I like this stencil. Obviously I designed it, but it's not one I've picked up overly often for some bizarre reason. So yeah, it's about time it got used. And then I'm just gonna clean off my stencil, a little squirt, stick it in there. This is genuinely how I clean off my stencils. Oh wow, that's quite pretty. And that gives me a page for another day. I'm just going to blast that dry so that it doesn't... my pages don't stick together. I like that though, it's very pretty. Sometimes I find the sort of... the resist is a really cool look. Right. And then I'm going to grab my big stencil. This is really cool. It's a really open stencil. Blend that over. We're going to get some teals here because it's going over that orange, but we should be alright. Ooh, that looks just a bit lovely, doesn't it? Decisions. I think I'll put one there. So I'm always looking forward to seeing what all the girls do. It's amazing how we all take the same prompts, but we all have such different approaches to it. And that's cool. I like that. And again, while I'm here, it means this page will be practically done. I'll just need to sort of grab an image, and I think I might have a couple of pages that sort of I've done this to, but I've not finished. So I will go back and get them, but I'm so close to actually finishing this journal. It's quite exciting. I don't know that I'll do a journal flip actually. There's some pages in it and I love, but there's some pages in it I really hate as well. So, right, there we go. Right, so now I'm going to grab my washi. And this is where we can get some of the black and white into it as well. So I'm grabbing my two favourite washies. I've got both of these from Be Crafty. I'm just weighting this down a little bit. Both of these from Be Crafty. But I love this script one, and it's nice and wide. I do quite like just sort of putting it down the spine, because it helps to protect it from getting a soggy gusset. Right. Yeah, I just find it helps to strengthen the spine a little bit and stops things from running down into there and causing problems at a later date. So I'm going to get some of that on and then work out what I'm going to do from there. So we still have another layer to add using our contrasting colours. So we will contemplate that in a moment. I'm quite tempted to do some stamping, I think. Okay. There we go. And I'm just going to pop a little bit in some of the sides as well. I like to stick to the rule of threes as well. I just think it's good from a compositional point of view. Actually, that's knocked that the blue of the cog back, which makes it a bit more subtle, which actually I quite like. So sorry, spending half my time watching me watching me pick away at the washi. Right. I'm just going to tear that actually because I don't particularly like the straight edge. I like it to be torn. Okay, so we've got that one down. Okay, and I'm going to add some of this as well. It's just cool, and then that has got our black and white in there as well, which is awesome, and I do just love a bit of washi. Right, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my clear gesso, I think, and just put a layer of gesso over this to stop the watercolour elements of this moving. Although, no, I would definitely do it over the washi, I think. Yeah. I was going to say I don't know if I need it because it'll stamp, but actually I do need it at least over the washi. So we'll pop it over the washi at least, and then we'll see how we go. So I'm just going to pop another, so I've kind of created a bit of a corner up there, and I will do the same here as well. Okay. So while I was off camera and hunting for my stamps, I did just quickly put a little bit of clear gesso over the washi areas. I didn't actually pull it across the whole page. Some of it kind of has it on, some of it doesn't. It'll give us some interesting resist techniques. So now I'm stamping with the orange, and I'm going to try and stick to the orange areas that I had. I'm going to overlap it slightly, but I just think, I don't know, it's just what I'm in the mood for doing. There's not actually a apparent reason for it other than that's what I fancy doing. So that's what I'm going for. Right, there we go. And we'll pop some on this side as well. I think this is a stamp I use a lot, and I've not necessarily cleaned it over the well, so there might be a residue of black on this, which is making the orange slightly darker. Now I'm going to use this this one, I don't even know where I got it from. I've had it for 100 years, well maybe not quite that long, but I've been crafting a long time and I feel like I've had it my whole crafty life. And it's not in its packaging anymore, so who knows. I actually think it might have been gifted to me by somebody who started crafting as well, but stamping wasn't their thing, so they were like, do you want it? I was like, yeah, okay then. And it's one of my favourite stamps, but I genuinely have no idea who it's by or what it's from, so if you happen to know, feel free to enlighten me. So now I'm using the blue, so we've got the blue and the orange, so we've pulled in our complementary colour again, which is awesome. And then once I've done that, I think I will go off camera to fussy cut our Wilma down, because that could be a bit boring to watch, quite frankly. So I will just I have cut out our Wilma. I've also cut out some of these butterflies from my steampunk story paper pad, because I just suddenly remembered they were orange, so work with the whole scheme. Yeah, so I'm thinking that we will do something with those. So in that way we can sort of bring them across the page a little bit. I have cut the antennae off, but we can draw those back. I had the phone ringing a little bit. Right, I'm just taking my blending brush, and I was going to just use the ink that was just on there, but it's a little bit, I'm doing a tiny bit more. I just don't want to go too heavy handed. And I'm just going to take the white edge off a little bit so that it tones in with the background. And doing this just helps the image look part of the page. I should actually just get my blending mat out, that probably be much easier. Rather than trying to do it mid-air in my hand. And actually everything's to hand at the minute because I've tidied my craft space. I have everything in my craft space now, but it's all piled one box on top of the other, so I'm sure I'm going to fall out with it very soon. You know, when I want something from the bottom box and I've got to move about 7 to get it. That could be annoying. But it means I'm all sorted down here, and then what is now the shop. I'm going to pack my orders. The loft, that's just got stock in it, and this room's just got craft stuff in it. So it's a temporary residence. I'm hoping that I'll have everything sorted in a couple of months and I'll be down in my studio, but we will see how it goes. Homeschooling me put paid to that, but we'll see how it goes. We'll just run with it. There's not much else you can do. Right, there we go. So we've just added a bit of orange to that, and it just means that she's going to blend into the background a little bit. I'm just grabbing my gel medium. I have messaged our Lynette to see if I can have some more. Because I'm going through it rather quickly. She doesn't have a website just now, so I message her. She invoices me. But if you're interested in getting it, you can get it off either Hachanda or Craft Stash. I do love the Pretty Gets Gritty products, I have to say. They've definitely become a new firm favourite. And so it doesn't matter if you've got way too much on, because even if it squidges out, we don't have to be afraid of the squidge, because if it does squidge out, it's going to dry clear anywho, so it's all good. Let's just pop that down there. Actually, need to move that a bit further across, because we had the other thing about sticking stuff like this down with gel medium is that you do have a little bit of wiggle room. So it's brilliant. Once it's stuck, it is stuck. It will stick anything to anything, and it will stick it there permanently. But when you first lay it down, it will oh dear, I have lost my words. When you first stick it down, it does give you a little moment of wiggle room, but once it's dried, that's it. So it makes it the perfect sort of product to work with, because we have the flexibility when we need it, and it doesn't come undone when we don't want it to come undone. So good on all fronts, I would say. Right, so I'll pop that down, and then I'm going to do some shadowing. So once I've stuck this down, I'm just going to go and grab my Inktense. So I'm going to do my usual with this. I will just give a brief explanation of what I am doing, and then I will move you on to speed up. So I always like to do shadowing in my work. I think it's one of the biggest tips I can give you with regards to how to make your work pop. So anything in life has a shadow. You know, if you just see under my hand right there, look how much darker that part of the page looks to say here. The contrast is huge, and so we don't want to be afraid of shadowing. Shadowing is dark. And with anything in life, if you have something in front of something else, there will be a shadow behind it. And so I always find putting shadowing into your work makes a huge difference. It raises the element off the page. So we've got loads going on right here. We've got the washi, we've got the stamping, stenciling, and there's a whole load of stuff to look at. But at the end of the day, she is our focal image. She is the thing that we want people to see first. The rest of it is a supporting act. But we do that by making it stand out and pop off the page, and the easiest and most effective way of doing that is to do some shadowing. All of a sudden it makes it look 3D, and as I said, it elevates her off the page. Look at the difference between that side now and that side. It is fairly huge. And especially when working in a journal like this, I mean, I love this journal. I am tempted to get it again, but if I just look how fat it's become, and that's me sort of keeping the pages as flat as possible. So when you are working in conditions like this, you kind of want to keep your work flat, because you don't have the ability to add lots of extra things to it, because if you do, you just wouldn't be able to fit it all in your book and close your book, and yeah. But this way we managed to still get that depth, still get that pop, but without making the page more 3D. So I do feel it is a very important feature and element to your work and to your journaling. I mean, everybody has their own style, everybody has their own way of doing it, so you know, if it's not your thing and you don't want to do it, there's absolutely no problem with that whatsoever. If you're having fun and you're enjoying it, then absolutely go ahead. But if you are looking at your work and thinking, why doesn't mine look like this person's over here? One of the biggest differences you'll find will be to do with depth. And depth is you need your shadow and you need your highlight. And if you do that, it makes things look so different. And that's for me is important, and it's important for my main element to stand out. As I said, I always think of it like it's a stage. If I was going to see a play, you have people that have spent hours and hours and hours working on the most amazing sets, and they are mind-blowing sometimes, but if the sets outshine the main actors, there was absolutely no point in them at all. You know, you wouldn't go away, you don't kind of go away thinking, oh wow, that set was amazing. I mean, you might do to a certain extent, but if you've missed the whole plot and the whole storyline because you're too busy looking at the sets, you wouldn't feel the same about it. And we want them to be in the foreground, and this is a way of adding them to the foreground. So I am using my Inktense pencils. I'm actually going over some of the colours that I've done, that's fine. So I'm shadowing my character, not necessarily the paper that I've stuck. So like for example, this is paper here, but if the shadowing came round her arm here, it's going to look really daft that there's no shadowing behind her bodice and her arm, because in real life it just wouldn't work like that, which is why I am doing it on the card as well as onto my page. I'm just going where the shadow would be. The wonderful thing about these Inktense pencils is that when you first put them down, they move like a watercolour, so you have that forgiveness, that ability to move and to correct very easily. Like with a watercolour, all you need to do is put water down and lift it, and so you have that forgiveness to get your work as you wish. But once it is dry, it is an ink, it is permanent. I'm going to move this away just now because it's a bit distracting. It's permanent, which means you can really layer up. So for art journaling, for mixed media, these pencils are just incredible because, as I said, it means you can layer and layer and layer and layer, and you're not going to lose the layer underneath. And that is one of the things that I love about when I'm journaling, is to really have lots of layers and lots of interest. The only thing is it does take a little while, so I'm going to do my usual. I've done a little bit of waffling and explaining, and now I'm going to pop you on fast forward while I build that up. So I have got a piece of my word ephemera that says believe. Sorry for the reflection from my blending that, and I'm just going to colour that with the same orangey colour again, just to sort of help it to blend in with the page a little bit. I think the white would have been a bit stark. Then I'm going to grab my black pen and we will stick that down. Then I'll probably just do a little bit of doodling, some black splatters, and I think that will be as good to go. So I'll just pop that there. Just double checking that we've got everything. So there was the background colour, the complementary colour with the background technique, and we did some swishing and some sort of blending out and some stenciling. Then we were to use the same thing again, the same colour combo again but with a different medium, which we did. So that's 2 of the prompts. Word for 2021, believe. So that's 3. Focal element, which was 4. So what was the 5th one? I'm going to have to go back and check, make sure I've not missed one. Let me grab my phone. Let me see now. Complementary colour, black and white, a background technique, which, so that was 2, a focal image, a second layer, and a word. Yep, so we've done it all. We've got all 5 prompts in there, which is just wonderful. Now let's grab my pens. Right, I just had the full marker in my, there we go. So I also added a bit of the blue to some of the edging, just to create a bit of contrast around the page as a whole. I'm just going to get my black pen and draw around this. That sort of gets in the way and is really useful all at the same time. Oh dear. I just made myself a deconstructed style journal ready for 2021. That video was posted yesterday. So this is one of the advantages of a deconstructed journal. You don't have these sort of uneven surfaces that you find yourself having to work on when you go through a book. Okay, so let's just get all of that edged up. There we go. Right, and I'm going to, sorry, I feel like I've lost the ability to talk there. I just suddenly realised I'd gone quiet. I think that's why my husband liked me crafting, so I've gone quiet. But now that I do it here on YouTube, I've got used to talking through what used to keep me quiet. Apart from occasionally, like just there. Right, I'm just going to grab my black ink. Started splattering there, forgetting that I needed to turn the camera back on. So I've just covered the, I was getting so carried away with creating there. So I've just got my dilution black ink here, and I'm just sort of dipping it in the pot and tapping it for my black splatter. It's currently going all over my desk and iPad. It's looking amazing. So that's that's fun. Okay, right, let's take that off. So, oh, I managed to smudge it just a bit there. Let's see if I can just rescue that a little bit. That is my page. So that is the first one for 2021. So very exciting. I do hope that you will join us. Don't forget this challenge is open to absolutely everyone. So you'll find the prompts in the description box below. If you do play along, please don't forget to tag us in social media. Hashtag Take5Art means that we can find you, and if you create a video, our lovely Cara will pop you on the playlist for this month. So please do join in. I find it immense fun. It's one of my favourite challenges. I have done it long before I was ever part of the gang, and I love it, love it. It's a great way to just, you know, get yourself started. A few prompts. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me today. If you have enjoyed it here, please do consider liking and subscribing, and I will be back with you very, very soon. Okay, take care then, and goodbye.